ISO 27001 7.14 secure disposal and reuse of equipment. So definition is items of equipment containing storage media should be verified to ensure that any sensitive data and licensed software has been removed or securely overwritten prior to disposal or reuse. So what we're doing here is this is the last of the physical security controls, as you've seen, building upon each other, crossing over with each other, merging with each other. We've already discussed a lot here when we looked at storage media, which this is looking at, right? I mean, predominantly this is looking at the requirements around storage media when you reuse or dispose of equipment. So what we're going to be making sure is we've got our information classification and handling policy that talks about the various levels of classification that we have and how we handle that. That talks about how we dispose of that. We're going to be looking at our storage media tutorial that we've just covered. That looks at what the expectations around storage media are. Now we're going to go through some guidance on this that recovers some of that old ground and pads that out a little bit. But make sure, to all intents and purposes, you get rid of all software that's licensed, that you've paid for, that has a license, and you get rid of all data off of a device before you get rid of it, i.e. delete it, destroy it, physically dispose of it, or you reuse it. So this is all we're doing. We're just deleting data and we're deleting software off of things, and we're making sure that that can't be recovered. So every item of equipment has a limited lifespan. Sometimes it's short, sometimes long, but at some point it's either going to get reallocated or it's going to get disposed of. The control is really concerned with equipment that contains storage media. This can include clearly things like memory, right? You know, devices, you may think in terms of hard drives, SSD. Technical people are more technical than me, but memory in itself, solid state memory, memory has the ability to retain information as well. So just be considerate that this is all storage on all devices. Our worst case scenario here is that confidential or sensitive information ends up in the wrong hands or the public domain. And we know what the consequences are, right? Embarrassment, legal, regulatory implications, financial implications. So we don't want that. What we do know from a consideration point of view is delete is not enough. So what we do not want is something ending up on eBay and some tech person recovering it, right? I think we're all savvy enough in this day and age to know that just hitting delete isn't enough, right? We're not just going to delete it. We're not just going to delete it and empty out our trash can or whatever it may be, our recycle bin. We are going to delete it, and we're going to use technology and techniques that guarantee and ensure it, and ideally that are of a grade that people will class as military grade, right? This has to be about writing, rewriting, overwriting on a number of passes the data that's there to make sure that that data has completely and utterly gone. A compensating control that we've got here would be around encryption. Encryption is a great compensating control, right? So if all else fails, if the device and the media itself is fully encrypted to a standard that we've laid out within our encryption policy, which is going to be the highest grade that we can, then it is a good compensating control. I'm not going to rely on that. But it is a good compensating control, right? Things to think about here are asset tags and labels. So, you know, sometimes we have identifiers on devices, especially endpoint devices, as part of our asset management. It's a good idea to remove them. You know, there have been instances of things appearing on eBay with the asset tag still on it, NHS, government department X, you know, and again, it's like, okay, that makes that an attractive piece of equipment to go after, right? So we want to remove all of those. We are going to keep records and we're going to keep audit trails. This is part of asset management. You have to revert back. By the time you've got here, you have an asset management process. Our asset management process is about maintaining records. It has a secure disposal element to it. We've already covered that off, and it is definitely 100% about keeping records and certificates and maintaining those and evidencing those. We have said prior to this, secure disposal, we are going to rely on third parties, professional third parties that know what they're doing, that collect our devices in a secure way, that evidence and provide certificates of collection. Then they go through a professional process of deletion and issue us with records of deletion. I have to advocate, even as a small organization, 1 to 10 people, don't just be deleting it. At least then the money that you will pay to securely dispose of it with a third party is worth it. So that should be your process. That would be my advice and guidance. But you will have covered that when we did asset management and secure disposal. So the last of the physical security controls, lots in there about secure perimeters, secure entry and exit, monitoring and alerting when things go wrong physically within that environment, protecting of those physical assets, the things like cabling and physical servers, about environmental maintenance that we have in there, and environmental equipment that we have in there, and then maintenance of that equipment, all the way through to how we manage storage media because it's specific to data, and then how we securely dispose of it. A lot of physical security controls are either going to be outside of your gift because you are fully remote, and or you're going to rely on professionals to support you. It isn't something that a project delivery person or an information security person would usually do, technically do, okay? But they are easy, they are straightforward, so well done. Well done on getting to the end of the physical controls. Next, we move on to a huge tranche, Annex A, technical controls. There's a lot of technical controls to go through as we continue our journey. So whether you're dropping in, picking and mixing, or working through sequentially, I will see you on the next tutorial. I am Stuart Barker, the ISO 27001 Ninja, the online guru for ISO 27001. And until the next tutorial, peace out.